What really happened in New York, and why did it change everything? When Kang and Kim Yoo-jung were spotted together strolling through the streets of Manhattan, no one imagined that just days later, the world would be watching their story unfold in real time. What began as a quiet getaway has now turned into the revelation fans have waited years for. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover how one trip across the ocean transformed a secret into the most talked about romance of the year. New York doesn't keep secrets. Yet somehow it kept theirs, for a moment. The city that never sleeps blinked beneath its winter lights, unaware that two of Korea's brightest stars were walking its streets. Hidden in plain sight. A pale fog rolled over Fifth Avenue. Taxis hissed through puddles. And somewhere between the flash of neon and the hum of late-night jazz, Kang reached for Kim Yoo-jung's hand. She laughed, that unmistakable laugh that always made the camera love her, and the sound disappeared into the snow. No one noticed at first. To New York, they were just another couple stealing warmth from the cold. To destiny, it was the start of something irreversible. 3 days later, a fan snapped a photo outside a cafe in Soho, two silhouettes, heads close, faces blurred by the glow of a streetlight. The image leaked before dawn, spreading across continents like fire. By sunrise in Seoul, the internet was awake, trembling with curiosity. Were they really together? Or was it another illusion crafted by coincidence? Reporters hunted flight records, compared clothing, traced every reflection in every shop window. But truth moves quietly, and that week in New York, truth was walking hand in hand through snow. Their story had always existed in rumors. Fans whispered about chemistry too natural to fake. Directors spoke of their timing. The way silence between them felt scripted. Yet both had mastered the art of distance. They smiled for cameras, bowed politely, denied softly. Behind closed doors, they shared the same exhaustion that fame demands, the loneliness of perfection, the hunger for something real. New York gave them that. It began as a work trip, photo shoots, fashion events, a brief appearance at a gala on the Upper East Side. But between schedules, they escaped. No entourage, no stylists. Just subway rides and stolen coffees. The thrill of anonymity. In a diner near Brooklyn Bridge, she fed him a piece of pie. He pretended not to blush. The waiter, unaware of the world's obsession with these two faces, simply smiled at the cute Korean couple in booth 3. That night, they walked through Central Park under a mist of white. He stopped near Bethesda Terrace, looked at her, whispered something the wind carried away. She answered with a nod. Maybe it was promise. Maybe confession, whatever it was. It changed everything. Back home, agencies issued no statements. Silence, the loudest sound in entertainment. Fans filled it with theories, identical coats, matching bracelets, the same skyline in 2 Instagram stories. Still, the stars remained still. Calm over chaos. Then came the flight home. Cameras crowded Incheon Airport, reporters waited for denial. Instead, Kang stepped out first, unhurried, smiling. Minutes later, Kim Yoo-jung appeared, no attempt to hide. Only the easy grace of someone done pretending. He glanced back once, just long enough for the flash to capture the truth in his eyes. The photo went viral before they reached customs. By evening, a single line from her agency broke the internet. They have developed feelings after years of friendship and are now seeing each other with warmth and respect. Warmth burned across screens like sunrise. Hashtags flooded timelines. Song You couple Nick Love finally official. News anchors used the word revelation. Commentators called it a moment the facade cracked and love walked in. But beyond the noise was something gentler. Behind those headlines were two people exhaling after years of restraint. She spent that night at home, lights off, scrolling through messages of support. He called just before midnight. Are you okay? He asked. Better than okay, she answered. It's finally ours. The next morning, Seoul awoke differently. Billboards featuring them for separate campaigns suddenly looked like destiny's foreshadowing. Advertisers scrambled to pair their names, streaming sites launched collections of their dramas side by side. The world had decided, this wasn't scandal, it was story. Yet for Kang and Kim Yoo-jung, still simply love. Over the next few weeks, they vanished again. No red carpets, no statements. Just time, rare, quiet time. Friends later said they rented a small house outside the city, somewhere near the coast. where the only paparazzi were gulls circling above. They cooked, read scripts, argued over who burned breakfast, laughed until sunrise. They looked like people discovering freedom. A friend recalled. Still, fame has long arms. Even paradise hears echoes. A drone photo surfaced, them walking on the beach, barefoot, wind tangled in their hair. Instead of outrage, sighed. Let them be. One headline pleaded. It was as if the world finally understood that privacy isn't secrecy, it's sanctuary. Back in Seoul, industry insiders whispered that their honesty had changed everything. They humanized the spotlight, said a producer. Reminded us that fame doesn't have to kill feeling. They finally reappeared, hand in hand at a charity event. Applause replaced scandal. The cameras still flashed. The angle had changed, no longer predators, but witnesses. As they walked the carpet toward him, saying something lost in the crowd. He laughed, that deep, unguarded laugh fans had never heard before. The city caught it, held it, and for a moment, even Seoul felt like New York again. That night, headlines called it the most honest love story in K-entertainment. Critics praised their composure, fans praised their courage. And quietly, somewhere between admiration and relief, people began to believe in love again. When asked later about that trip, Kim Yoo-jung smiled. Unplanned, she said. But sometimes life writes its own script. Song Kang added, we didn't go there to make news. We just went to breathe. Of course, love that genuine cannot stay hidden, not even under the glow of a foreign city. And though the photos had sparked the flame, it was honesty that kept it burning. The world saw a rumor. They saw a beginning. And somewhere in New York, beneath the same skyline that had sheltered them, the story was still unfolding, proof that love, once found, doesn't wait for permission. Broke over Seoul like the slow opening of a curtain. The storm that had surrounded their confession finally began to quiet. But the world wasn't ready to stop watching. The photo from Yoo-jung, his small smile, her calm eyes, still lingered on every screen. For weeks, strangers spoke of them as if they had personally witnessed a love story rather than a headline. But for Song Kang and Kim Yoo-jung, moved differently now. The air around them felt lighter, freer, yet laced with something fragile. Fame can be merciless, love, even more so. They had chosen honesty. And honesty has its cost. The first few days after the reveal were chaos disguised as calm. Their phones never stopped buzzing, congratulations, requests, sponsorships, scripts, apologies from journalists who once chased them through airports. Song Kang silenced his notifications. Kim Yoo-jung deleted half of hers. Instead, met quietly at a small rooftop cafe overlooking the Han River, away from cameras, away from everything that demanded a piece of them. Feels strange, she whispered, stirring her coffee. What does, he asked. Being seen, but finally for who we are. Smiled, taking her hand across the table. Let's make sure we never lose that. Outside, winter sunlight spilled across the water. The city kept moving, but up there, they existed in their own rhythm. Their agencies planned their return carefully. The goal wasn't to flaunt romance but to normalize it. If we act like it's scandal, it becomes one. Song Kang told his manager. And so, when they appeared together for the first time, at a charity gala for children's art, they walked in side by side, not holding hands, not avoiding it either. The cameras clicked softly, as if aware they were intruding on something sacred. When the host asked how they were feeling, Yoo-jung laughed. Grateful, she said simply. Love should make people softer, not louder. Applause followed. No one dared twist her words. That night, the internet called it the most graceful comeback in K-entertainment. Even tabloids wrote with unusual respect. Perhaps because, for once, the story wasn't built on denial but on truth, and truth disarms even cynics. Behind the glamour, the two adjusted to the rhythm of something resembling normalcy. They learned when to appear and when to disappear. Late night walks by the river in masks and hoodies. Sometimes chased by giggling fans who didn't take photos, just waved. We see you. They whisper. Be happy. At home, things were quieter. He loved to cook, she loved to read. Sometimes she'd fall asleep with a script open on her lap. And he'd cover her with a blanket, whispering, rest. The world can wait. Other nights they'd watch old films, foreign romances, black and white stories where love was simple and speechless. Once, during an interview, a reporter asked Song Kang whether he feared losing privacy. He thought for a moment before replying. Love isn't about hiding. It's about choosing who you share silence with. The quote went viral. It wasn't a confession that trended, but the gentleness behind it. Fans began calling them the calm couple. Months passed. Their relationship outlived the frenzy. The headlines grew smaller, placed by new scandals, new stories. Somewhere in the noise, their steadiness became its own kind of rebellion. In an industry that thrived on fleeting attention, they endured, not by shouting louder, staying true. By summer, they appeared together again, this time in Paris, attending a fashion event. The world expected spectacle, but what it got was poetry. They arrived separately, met eyes across the runway, and smiled, small, knowing, private. A photographer later described it perfectly. It wasn't performance. It was peace. Afterward, they disappeared again, not running, simply living. Rumors said they spent a week in the countryside, where no one recognized them. Recalled seeing them at a small bakery, laughing over pastries. In hushed voices, they looked like anyone in love. One witness said, just quieter. Yet their love story had already become legend. Essays appeared about how their honesty changed the rules for idols. Fan art filled the web, depicting their New York stroll as modern folklore. Conservative columnists admitted, perhaps transparency is the new professionalism. In late autumn, they returned to work, different projects, different cities. Distance tested them. Separation no longer frightened them. Every call, every text carried the steadiness of trust built in the eye of a storm. It is not about being seen together, Yoo-jung told a magazine. It's about staying connected when no one's looking. The article went viral again. People called her the voice of sincerity. One evening, months after the reveal, Song Kang stood on a stage accepting an acting award. Cameras captured his usual composure, until the end. To the person who taught me that quiet doesn't mean absence, he said. Voice trembling, thank you. The audience erupted. Everyone knew who he meant. Backstage, she waited. When he stepped down, she smiled, teasing. You almost made me cry on live TV. He laughed. Almost. Almost, she repeated, eyes shining. Their embrace wasn't for cameras this time, just for them. But even without witnesses, came one of those moments people swore they could feel through the screen. Time carried them forward. A year later, on the anniversary of their New York trip, photo appeared on social media, not leaked. Shared by Song Kang himself. It showed the skyline at dusk. 2 coffee cups side by side on a windowsill. No caption. Yet everyone knew. Fans flooded the comments with hearts, with thanks, with memories of that first blurred photo in Soho. Felt full circle, the story that began with curiosity now ending in quiet contentment. Later that night, Kim Yoo-jung posted her own picture, the same view, same light. Her reflection faintly visible in the glass. Just 3 words. Still our place. The world melted again, softly this time. Seoul to New York. People shared their posts like blessings. Hashtags revived, not for gossip, but gratitude. They had become symbols of something rare in entertainment, authenticity. When asked in an interview what love meant to her now, Yoo-jung smiled gently. It means not running, she said. Even when the whole world is watching. Kang, sitting beside her, nodded. Especially then. The interviewer paused, speechless for a moment, before whispering, that's beautiful. And it was. Because somewhere between the first rumor and the final confirmation, between the chaos and the calm, between New York's winter lights and Seoul's spring sunrise, 2 people had turned speculation into sincerity. The city that once held them had become the city that revealed them. That once trapped them had become their freedom. And love, the quiet, resilient kind, had once again proved itself stronger than fame. They often return to New York now. Fugitives of curiosity but as travelers chasing memory. Locals sometimes spot them at the same cafe in Soho, sitting by the window, laughing softly as the world hurries by. No one takes photos anymore. Maybe because some stories no longer belong to the public, they belong to time. As dusk settles, the lights of the city reflect in their eyes. Golden and endless. She leans closer. Whispers something that makes her laugh. For a moment, everything feels still again. The same city that once sparked rumors now holds their truth. Sometimes, love doesn't need to make noise to make history. It just needs to be real. To everyone who followed this story not for the whispers, but for the wonder, thank you. To those who believed that love could still bloom beneath the harshest lights, your faith gave this story its heartbeat. And who waited patiently, respecting silence when noise was easier, your kindness turned curiosity into compassion. To the storytellers, the photographers, dreamers who captured truth instead of scandal, you reminded the world that beauty lies in honesty. And to Song Kang and Kim Yoo-jung, thank you for showing that love doesn't have to hide to survive. You taught us that even under the brightest spotlight, tenderness can still exist in its purest form. When the cameras fade and the applause quiets, what remains is not fame, but two people who found each other in a city that once held its breath for love.